are you? Give us a rundown of your work and generally what you spend your time doing.
I'm Brian Rabinovitz. I teach classes related to the natural science side of psychology, cognitive psychology, physiological psychology, sensation and perception, fundamentals of learning and memory, and I have an original class, neuroscience and musical cognition.
Why do we make first impressions?
Our brains process whatever we get as input, and we care a lot about novelty and a lot about new things. Something in general, in terms of perceptual systems, we're always good at registering change in any way.
Why do we make first impressions?
Our brains process whatever we get as input, and we care a lot about novelty and a lot about new things. Something in general, in terms of perceptual systems, we're always good at registering change in any way.
Beautiful campus, extremely nerdy, extremely slow, extremely quiet, just because I wasn't used to what Virginia is.
I actually hated this place.
I remember being really confused walking around.
So when you talk about a first impression, you're talking about some new experience, meeting someone for the first time. And so the newness of it, you are in the initial stages of generating a memory. That is a potentially powerful time. So I think kind of a separate question is what's going to influence that first perception, but that it has an influence is not surprising at all. That's just what you would expect out of any new experience.
Why do we hold biases?
It's not something that is always intentional, but when you talk about bias, you're really talking about prior experience and how it influences you. When you're talking about bias, you're talking about your sets of expectations about the world, and that has been shaped through your prior experience.
Yeah. Yes.
Kind of yes.
I mean, I think probably.
I think sometimes you just sometimes you don't express yourself like the way I guess you typically view yourself. Like you might come off and look back on it and be like, I don't think I presented myself the way I wanted to, I guess.
I would say there's a kid on my floor named Dom who I've become very close with. And when I met him for the first time, he came up to me and asked me if I was the RA on our floor when I was moving in. And after our second interaction, I just kind of wrote him off as this quiet nerd. He would never hang out with me because I wanted to go out and stuff. And then literally around a week later, we kind of just became closer and closer. And then he came for spring break to hang out with me. So
in cognitive psychology, a very common topic is the idea of schemas, which are kind of sets of expectations. Like you have a schema for if you go to a fast food restaurant, you expect to order at the counter, they give you your food, you take it to the table. Versus if you go to a fancy restaurant, you maybe have to call in advance and make reservations, and they seat you at the table, etc. And you have schemas for all sorts of things, every kind of thing in life. And your biases really kind of reflect those schemas. I expect a certain kind of person to be a certain kind of way. You might have professors that expect, if you're a William and Mary student, I expect you to perform in a certain kind of way. That reflects a kind of bias. It's just sets of expectations we have. Part of also the reason we have these expectations that influence so much is because we are kind of cognitively limited in that we're not omniscient, we're not perfect, and so we take shortcuts when we do problem solving all the time. This was the concept of heuristics I talk about in my cognitive class. And so when you talk about a bias, it is a kind of shortcut. It's, I expect things to go this way, and that kind of frames what a bias is. That's going to differ from one individual to another based on prior experience, based on what others have told you. So really, your lifelong learning experience is a constant a situation where you both gain biases and potentially gain the opportunity to alter those biases. Sometimes you have an expectation that certain kind of people are going to be a certain kind of way, and then if you get to know some individual and it subverts those expectations, you may shift those biases or eliminate them in some way. It depends.
Do you think you've broken that first impression of William and Mary then?
I think so. I think especially like now as a senior, there's a lot of reflection being done, just like looking back at who I was when I first entered college. So I do think so, and I've grown to love and appreciate it. I genuinely do think it's transformed me, and I've met some of like the most wonderful people ever here. So I would say so, yes.
Yeah, I feel like as an outsider looking in, it's always very like glamorous. So I think by getting to know the school better, I realized like that it's like not every day is like a beautiful sunny day in the spring where everyone's happy to be outside.
Of William and Mary being extremely nerdy, definitely. I've found a lot of cool people that honestly I didn't expect to find. Like when I first got here, I expected to transfer, but I've met a lot of different types of people, and the mold has been broken with the nerdiness. There's a lot more than just that.
I like toured it twice, and each time it felt like a completely different campus because it was just like, I don't know, all the streets were going in different places, and for some reason I was like, there's too many trees.
Should we trust our gut feelings?
No. When you talk about a gut feeling, you're probably talking about a very quick, rapid assessment of a situation. And often with that, you're talking about cutting out high-level processing. You're talking about prefrontal cortex doing the more thorough evaluation of something, thinking deeply about it. The gut level, it's not actually coming from your gut so much, but what it is it's very rapid processing that's not involving a high-level, thorough evaluation. Gut level reaction is more subject to those biases.
How can we better our first impression? Is it important to make that first impression count in a sense?
In an ideal society, there shouldn't be so much weight placed on first impressions because there should be a lot more forgiveness and understanding in relation to not everybody is at their best at every single moment. And there can be a situation where somebody could not be kind of at the top of their game because they're tired, et cetera, and we'd recognize that. And you'd evaluate someone with more thorough criteria, something deeper. In the real world, unfortunately, first impressions certainly can matter, but they're not the be-all, end-all. If you're working with somebody and on the first day things get off in a poor manner in some way, that doesn't mean there isn't an opportunity for redemption, but it's more work for yourself if you need that redemption versus if you don't. So it's understandable that it's ironic, I think, that the more aware you are, or the more you think about the need to make a good first impression, the more that's going to work against you making a good first impression because it's going to increase levels of anxiety. Levels of anxiety rising are going to raise cortisol levels, they're going to activate parts of your nervous system that are completely antithetical to the relaxed way you probably want to be to make a good first impression.
What do you want your first impression to be?
How
do you want to be perceived in that sense?
For my first impression, I would want to be seen as like kind of lighthearted, someone you can laugh with, someone who's funny. I would prefer. That's what my dream would be that.
Maybe like easygoing, funny maybe, smart, I hope.
I think a lot of people perceive me as someone who is very energetic, someone who's very bubbly.
Don't we all want to know? I don't know. I mean, I think I want people to think I'm like friendly and warm and somebody that they want to be friends with and talk to again. Like I want to make people, I hope that I make people feel at ease around me.